What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we're talking about this.
Okay, this is mind-blowing. This is amazing. I wanted to do this post to let you know, to share the news. I was contacted last night by an insider from Washington, D.C., from the Trump administration, who told me basically that President Trump has already written his speech, his statement that he will give about UFO disclosure this year. Okay, massive breaking bombshell news. Remember that Washington Trump administration insider that told me that President Trump had already written the speech ready to go for UFO disclosure this year? Well, now he's got back to me and told me the exact date, and you can hold me to account for this, okay? It's going to be July the 8th. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Mark is a fool. He was used. I'm not giving a speech about UFOs.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, y'all. All right, so what's today's video about? Well, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. This whole story about President Trump giving a speech on July 8th of this year that came from UK filmmaker and UFO researcher Mark Christopher Lee. It was reported back in January. That's when he came out with the news, and I covered it then. He has now come out and said that it's not true. He got used, and it's misinformation, right? That it's not happening. I've got the whole story, so let's get into it. Now, Mark released a statement, but before we get to that statement, let's kind of go back in time to the first video that Mark released, kind of stating this news, just so we can lay the groundwork for what was established and now what he's saying now, right? So take a look.
Okay, this is mind-blowing. This is amazing. I wanted to do this post to let you know, to share the news. I was contacted last night by an insider from Washington, D.C., from the Trump administration, who told me basically that President Trump has already written his speech, his statement that he will give about UFO disclosure this year. It was originally scheduled for September at the United Nations Assembly. He has been authorized, apparently, by the world's leaders to give this speech, but he's a bit wary that China and Russia may jump the gun on him. So be prepared. We could get UFO disclosure, the truth, very, very soon. Maybe even in the next week or so. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. This is mind-blowing. It's a paradigm-shifting event that will change how we think about the world, ourselves, the religion, the universe, you name it. Okay, let me know your thoughts. This is going to happen. Trump will be the UFO disclosure president. Thank you.
Now, that clip went absolutely viral. Okay, everyone was talking about it. And then a week later, he kind of doubled down and released even more information. And this is another video that went viral that he released.
Okay, massive breaking bombshell news. Remember that Washington Trump administration insider that told me that President Trump had already written the speech ready to go for UFO disclosure this year? Well, now he's got back to me and told me the exact date, and you can hold me to account for this, okay? It's going to be July the 8th. Why July the 8th, you might ask? Well, it's basically the 79th anniversary since the Roswell press release. So that's why. And he's basically going to be saying, yeah, Roswell was real. We captured a flying saucer. We captured occupants. This is the truth that he's going to reveal, and we have an ongoing program alongside the aliens, reverse engineering their technology, and they're living, amongst us, basically. This is the truth that's going to be released on July the 8th. What are your thoughts? Thank you.
Now, before we get to the statement, look, I got to keep the mics on, so let me introduce the sponsor for today's video. A guy just won $1 million by creating an AI film using VO3 on the stage of the 1 Billion Followers Summit, hosted by the UAE government. A 19-year-old girl runs an AI automated agency and earns $100,000 a month. And the most recent report from Forbes shows that employees who use AI at work are earning 40% more than those who don't. The AI employment paradox is alive, and February matters because the early adoptive phase is over. So the question is simple: will you watch this shift or win from it? Introducing OutSkill, the first ever AI-focused educational platform to accelerate AI learning for people like you and me. They're hosting the 2-day AI Mastermind training live this Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern on both days. And right now is the perfect moment to join because you can get in absolutely free for the next 48 hours. This 16 hours AI training has already built 10 million plus AI first professionals worldwide and is rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot. People from marketing, finance, operations, product, and engineering. Join this just because this is not specific to any one industry, but is now needed across every one of them. This is where you learn how to build AI agents that plan, write, execute, and report for you, automate workflows that run even while you sleep, connect tools like Sheets, Notion, CRMs, and email to create profitable systems. Use AI to save hours every week and get an unfair advantage at work. Not just that, you'll learn how to profit from these skills. People from this very training have launched AI-powered services that bring in $3 to $4K weekly by just applying the systems they're taught. To kickstart your year, you'll also get premium lifetime bonuses like the AI Prompt Bible, the AI Profit Roadmap, your personalized AI Toolkit Builder, only if you attend both days. And here's the most interesting part. When you sign up, you'll get access to the 2026 AI Survival Hackbook, a comprehensive compilation of the upcoming AI shifts in 2026 and the practical steps you can take to be prepared. Seats are limited. Use the link in the description to join. And join the WhatsApp community to stay updated before the big blast. All right, so now let's take a look at this statement that Mark Christopher Lee released. Now, remember, Mark was absolutely adamant that this was going to happen. He said it himself.
It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
Now, here's the tweet he just put out today. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy this, but there you go. I took a chance and got burned. All right, so we're about to get to the statement that he released, but just that tweet is, I have to admit, that's a little gaslighting. But I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy that. Like, hey, dude, you're the one that came out with this information and said it will happen. And you also said, take me to task if it doesn't, right?
And you can hold me to account for this, okay?
And it's not that you took a chance. It's that you got used and now you're backpedaling and don't really know how to handle it. And I get it. That's can't be an easy thing to come to terms with. But playing the victim or gaslighting us about this is not the best way to go about this. And I just want to preface, I think Mark's a good guy. I wish him the best, but I am going to be critical in this video. Because again, like you said,
and you can hold me to account for this, okay?
Your words, Mark, not mine. Now, let's get to the statement. Personal confession from Mark Christopher Lee, March 10th, 2026. I've been completely misled by disinformation in the UFO disclosure saga. My Washington insider source, who fed me details about Trump's July 8th speech and the May 1st press conference, was likely a plant designed to hype and manipulate the community. Well, I don't know if they were designed to manipulate the community so much as you, Mark, right? So let's just start there. But gosh, who would have called this? I've been pushing for further details in the May 1st conference, but they're not returning calls or emails. Nothing has materialized. No speech, no reveal. And now I see I was used to spread false hope. Interesting. I suspect it's all been orchestrated. Laura Trump hinting in a prepared speech, Obama casually saying aliens are real, then Trump's directive to release UFO files. It feels like a coordinated tease to string us along without ever delivering the full truth. Now, that's interesting. So he's kind of putting himself in the middle of this like worldwide conspiracy, right? At the head of it being used. I mean, this is delusional. No offense to Mark, but this is absolutely delusional thinking, right? It's very main character syndrome, right? Like, I'm at the center of a big conspiracy, when all that happened was, you know, someone fed him some BS and he just repeated it, right? Now, we'll get into more of this later in the video, but I'm not even so sure there actually was ever an insider, and we'll get to that. I deserve the hate, and I told you so's. I took a chance going public with the right motives, transparency for all, but live and learn. It's taken a real toll on my health. I'm sad to hear that it took a toll on his health. Of course, I wish him the best. Don't want him to get ill or anything from this, but he put himself in this position, and he's a grown man, right? He's in his mid-50s. He's got to stand up and this is what happens. He's not a child, right? So it's hard to have any sympathy. I want to be compassionate. I want to take the high road here, which we're going to do, but he's also, again, a grown man. Right? And he made a huge mistake. He got all the likes. He got all the followers. He got all the views. He got all the attention. So now you got to reap what you sow, essentially, right? So I'm sorry, but this is just what happens. And him taking a chance, no, he knew it would bring him attention, likes, follows. I mean, I know how this community works. Right? There's no question that it was going to bring him attention, right? And he basically took, short gains instead of playing the long game, right? He took the short gains, right? Which happens on social media and from content creators. They take the short gains thinking, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with the backlash later, right? It's like when you keep going back to the buffet after you're already full, to deal with it later, right? It's like, you in that moment, you're like, well, I'm going, getting it, right? All you can eat, let's go. This is essentially the same thing. Again, this is the bed he made. Nobody made it for him. Laura Trump's comments and Trump's file release directive had me convinced there was truth here, but it's all smoke. So that's what's interesting is that, other information did come out, but it was never really connected to his story. And this is how this stuff works. People just start adding on to it, right? There could have been a coincidence that Trump did have some sort of interesting speech prepared and it all got mixed together, right? But the thing with Mark was he set up his story so uniquely. I've got an insider source giving me this information to tell you, right? And then kind of pushing people off who were questioning him. And man, the hate I got from saying this was not going to happen, right, was insane, right? Where are those people now? They're seemingly quiet now on Twitter and everywhere else, right? Backing into a cave. The UFO world is full of psyops and lies to keep us chasing shadows. Yeah, and you were part of it, Mark. Right. And again, at your age and what you claimed, you were 30 years into this and had all these contacts and were such a respected UFO researcher. For you not to know that this was happening is a huge red flag. Right. I think anyone with 3 brain cells saw that this was absolute nonsense. Right. But again, took the likes, took the follows, took the subscribers, took all the attention. Now what? Right. Again, it's just, not going to pile on here, but it's what this video is about, essentially. And, is this a psyop and the lie? We'll get into that in a moment. Sorry to everyone I misled. Maybe I was used to put out the demon aspect of UFOs, which makes me sad. Promoting that narrative feels manipulative now. Well, what you're doing right now, Mark, seems manipulative. Right. So, again, I just don't know. Even when people have the best of intentions, that doesn't mean anything. Right. I mean, it can, but it cannot. I mean, essentially, it is what it is. He made a huge mistake and now he's got to pay for it. And there's just no way around it. You don't get to play the victim. It's just going to be worse. People are going to come down on you worse. You got to take it on the chin and deal with it. That's just how it goes. We all make mistakes. I get it. But this is a monstrous mistake. right? And felt very deceptive since the beginning. And the fact that he didn't see those red flags or wasn't listening to anybody about it, again, because of all the attention he was getting, right? And that is very, illuminating. And it's also, you could see how that happens to people. The allure of wanting secrets and being in on the know and getting all this attention, right? Even when but I'm here for transparency and I'm here for disclosure and I got used and again, we'll get into it in a moment. Thanks for the ride. Love you all. Peace out from the UFO grind. Now, what's interesting about Mark's statement is that yesterday or the day before he put out, he's going to be taking a break from social media, and we would all know why. So he essentially was going to go hide in a cave and come out, right? But he was willing to put his face out there and take all this, glory for coming out with this story. And then now that he knows it's BS and it's not going to happen, he just wants to go stick his head in the sand and kind of step away from it. I don't know. I mean, I guess if it's affecting his health, he's got to do what's best for him. But again, his credibility is shot. It is toast. And he stated later on, he doesn't want to name the source because he's afraid of them, right? I mean, he's screwed. Now, look, let's go back in time to the video that I made when this initially came out and what I thought about all of this when it first happened. We're going all the way back in time to January 17th.
Okay, let me know your thoughts. This is going to happen. Trump will be the UFO disclosure president. Thank you.
All right, so Mark seems very confident that this is going to happen, right? And that Trump will be the U.S. disclosure president. Again, the speech that we've all wanted to hear from whoever, essentially, but that the world leaders are, have approved this speech for Trump to give it. That sounds, that's a red flag. And that China and Russia are worried about it because they may jump the gun, right? Initially, he was supposed to give it in September at this United Nations, event, and he could be giving it within the next week. Well, weeks has passed since that video came out, essentially, and, nothing has happened. But again, there is a second video, so stay with me. But I have to admit, okay, Mark is a great guy. I really enjoyed interviewing him. I only had the one conversation with him. I did enjoy his documentary about Rendlesham Forest. But, I have to admit, there's a lot of red flags here, okay? I don't believe that Trump is going to be giving this speech. And then I also said this. Mark puts out this video, and the insider contacted him again to give him the exact date. So again, another red flag. Why didn't the insider just tell him everything all at once, right? It's kind of drip feed him. And honestly, if I'm Mark, I'm telling this guy, you put out that information. Why are you using me to put that out? Because now Mark's credibility is on the line. If this speech doesn't happen on that date, Mark's going to look like a fool. Whether he is a fool or not is besides the point, right? I personally, again, I like Mark, and I mean no disrespect towards him, but I kind of feel like he's being used here, right? Now, he may want to be used in the sense that he thinks it's for the good, right? He seems like a good guy, genuine, and he probably thinks this is a good thing, right? He's been studying UFOs a long time, built up contacts, thinks he's doing the right thing because he believes it's a paradigm shifting event. And I can't say I disagree with that. It is a paradigm shifting event if that's true and it's going to happen, but it's not, right? That's my prediction. I'm gonna tell you, it's not going to happen. I would put money on it, to be honest with you. And I kept going because I said this as well. And it makes me really sad to see people being used like this, to be honest with you. And again, if I was Mark, contact your insider, right? You think Mark's ever going to trust this guy again when that speech doesn't happen, right? I mean, it's just, you put your reputation on the line when you make predictions. And my suggestion to content creators and UFO researchers is don't be a mouthpiece for these insiders, right? If they're so confident in it, make them put it out. Don't put your name behind it. Now people fall back on, well, I was told. The I was told that should be a t-shirt. That's one of the top phrases you hear in this community. Well, I was told. Well, I was told. Well, I was told. Well, I was told. And that's basically it. Everyone just tells you what they were told by some mysterious figure. And we never get to know who those figures are, because they use people to put out information. And again, I called it, right? And I think a lot of people called it, to be honest with you. There was a lot of people like pushing back on it, but there was a lot of people like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is going to happen, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. This happens all the time, unvetted, to be honest with you. And the bigger I get, the more pushback I get when I say something. The James drilling guy, everyone roasted me. I got death threats for that, for saying that wasn't going to happen and pointing at all the red flags. And then what happened? The guy came out and said it was a fake. It was a hoax. Did anyone come and apologize to me? A few people did. Just a few. The majority just didn't say anything. The black goo guy who put out a silver potato as a meteor, that came out as fake too. Nobody said anything, right? It's like, then this dread sphere was clearly fake. Again, there's just so many things like this that are obvious right up front. Just call it out. It's clearly BS. Unless they provide absolute proof that it's real, it's okay to assume it's BS. There's nothing wrong with that. And just say, well, I just want to sit back and see what happens. That's fine. Some of us want to call BS. Again, if there's no proof, it's BS until I see the proof. For especially outlandish things. People just ignore these huge red flags right in front of them, which is fine, to each their own. But me personally, I'm going to call things out. And if I'm wrong, then I'll admit I'm wrong later. I haven't been wrong yet. And to me, this was an easy one. Right? It seemed obvious from the get-go that there were so many red flags. Why would this insider tell Mark? Right? And then drip feed all the information and put it out, right? Like it just seemed completely BS from the get-go. And this was easy to call. Again, I'm going to bet money on this, a lot of money on this, that this wasn't going to happen. Look where we are. And look, a lot of people thought he was full of crap from the beginning. Again, not just me. I hate to break it to you, but it never happens. Right? Yeah. Again, a lot of people were already there. And, again, who is this insider telling you this stuff? I mean, it just didn't make any sense that Mark would be getting this kind of information. Your insider in DC, LOL. Why is that funny? Mark says. I've been researching for 30 years and I'm well known and respected all over the world apart from here. Ha! Thanks, though, for commenting. So he was gaslighting people from the beginning about this, right? If you look through his TikTok comments and all this stuff, again, there was a lot of just wait and see. You don't know what's going on. Take me to task if this doesn't happen. And now that it doesn't happen, he's trying to play the victim. And I don't know. I'll be honest. I lost a little respect for Mark. I wish him the best. I hope he's okay. I want to be compassionate about this. I think he's a nice guy. But yeah, I definitely lost a lot of respect. Just how he handled all the other things around it, right? How he handled the criticism he was getting when the story came out, right? When he put the story out, and now how he's kind of handling this afterwards. I'm just losing respect for him here. I'm just being real. Y'all know how I am here. Just gonna say how I feel. And look, Red Panda Koala, who I absolutely respect and uses clips all the time, he kind of said something that I'll be honest, I disagree, but he was kind of saying it in jest, so, whatever, it's all good. But he said this, in a weird psycho roundabout way, I do think that it led to this. And then showing the picture of this Trump ordering the release of the alien file, I don't know, maybe there's an argument there, but I personally do not see that at all. And Mark responded with this, I'm pretty sure it did, and if I'm the fall guy, so be it. What? You're pretty sure it did, and if you're the fall guy, so be it. Well, which is it? Which is it? You're the fall guy, so be it. So like you fell on the sword. Now it's like I fell on the sword. I took the grenade for everybody, y'all. What? You got used, right? You went out with a story that you did no vetting on, and you know what I mean? Now you're paying the price. So now it's like, well, I helped make this. Again, delusional main character syndrome, putting yourself in the middle of all of this. Like you somehow made all of this happen when all that really happened is you injected a huge amount of disinformation and misinformation in the community, and a story that spread like wildfire. I covered it as well, right? But I called it out from the beginning. I'm sorry, but I just did. And I called it out several times because new things kept coming in from this insider, right? But a lot of people didn't. It just spread like wildfire that this was happening, right? And again, Mark took all the glory for this, no problem. And now I just feel like he's gaslighting us. And John Greenwald from the Black Vault had a great comment. I have to admit, I agree with him here. He said, instead of pretending you're a victim, list out what you actually did to vet this source. The general public deserves that, given the attention you got all for nothing. Great point, John. And then Mark responds with this. No, you're right. I'm 100% responsible. The person is very well known. Not sure what vetting could be done. So he's like, I don't know what I really could have done to vet him. You know, he was a pretty, well-known source, and this, I'm responsible. His comments are all over the place. And what's interesting is he said, not sure what he could have done to vet him. Because in TikTok videos, he said this about his source.
So there's a lot going on at the moment, especially on X, regarding UFO disclosure on July the 8th, 2026. This is the date I've been told by an insider at the Pentagon who has been in touch. They have been vetted.
They've been vetted, but you also just said, what could you have done to vet them? But you said you vetted them. So which is it, Mark? And this is what I mean about Mark backpedaling and not handling the fallout from this correctly, right? He didn't handle, in my opinion, well, the criticism that he got when he came out with the story, but took all the glory. And now the fallout from this BS, right? He's kind of pissed at people for calling him out, right? And now lying. I mean, that's just an outright lie. Which is it? I mean, he either lied in that video that he said that he vetted him, or he's lying to John Greenwald here. Which is it? Right? So he was willing to tell his followers that he had done his due diligence. He had vetted him, right? Trusted insider, right? And that's not the only time he said something similar.
This information was fed to me by a Washington insider whom I know and I trust, and is a very, very good source.
He knows him. He trusts him. He's a very good source. Well, apparently not, right? He vetted him. I mean, which, again, doesn't make any sense. So where was he lying? He's clearly lying, but which part, right? My opinion, all of it. And another thing, the second video that Mark put out, at the top in text, he put that he had proof from the Trump administration about all this. Whatever happened to that proof, right? Again, I don't think he ever had proof at all. Just, again, another lie that I think he just made all this up. And again, the kind of gaslighting and blaming us, and, he's a victim, and, he probably caused all of this to happen anyway, right? We're probably going to get disclosure anyway. And it'll be his, he'll take it. He's the fall guy here. Yeah. Yeah. And then he also claims like he got groomed at 55 and that he feels bad that happened. I mean, I can feel for him, but good Lord, dude. I mean, again, I think Mark was just willing to he just wanted the attention. He wanted the attention. He wanted the views, the followers, the subscribers, that allure of wanting to grow as a content creator, and you're willing to do anything to make it happen. Look, I'm a content creator. I get it. Okay. You can get caught up sometimes in views and likes, that can happen to anybody. Right. But you always have to be careful. Your integrity is important. Right. And you're going to make mistakes. No question. But you got to be real careful what you do, what you're willing to do. Right. If you just put out good content, people are going to come around. People are going to hate you anyway. So might as well just be yourself and do your thing. You don't need to lie. You don't need to make up insiders or repeat things people tell you and this and that, right? Because in my opinion, I'm not so sure there is even an insider. It's possible that Mark lied about this entire thing. There is no insider. That's why he doesn't want to name him, because there's no one to name. He didn't vet anyone because there's no one to vet. There is no source. He just threw all this together and threw dates out that no one needs to back up, right? Because no one was hearing this. No one else was saying this. There were people saying he's got a speech, but no one was saying any of the dates or any of this stuff, right? Like, I think it's quite possible Mark made up this entire thing. And I think unless he comes out and names his source, that's what people are going to think. He just made up the whole thing, which is even worse, right? People get so caught up in trying to make a name for themselves that they demolish their name in the process, right? For short gains. It's sad. It's sad. I'm torn because I'm a human being. And I see a human being who made a mistake, and I want to have compassion for them, right? But I also have to be realistic. Again, Mark is a grown man. He's not a child. So I'm going to treat him like a grown man. He made a huge mistake. And it's, you know what they say in life? I mean, we teach children this, right? It's not the mistake you make. It's how you handle the mistake. That's what really matters. He has an opportunity here to handle the mistake like a grown man, right? And handle it well. And so far, he has not. Now, I'm glad he came out and said this, right? He earned a little bit of respect for coming out and saying this, but I'm starting to think there could be other motives for why he said it and why he's saying it the way he's saying. He's trying to save face, right? You're just not going to save face. He's just going to keep digging a deeper hole unless, again, he names his source or just tell the truth. Say you lied about it. You have to do one or the other, right? You have to name your source. Who told you this information? Who fed it to you? Right? And he's like, I'm afraid of him. Nobody believes that. Nothing's going to happen to you, Mark. Nothing happens to people, right? So nobody's coming after you, right? And he's also, or if you made it up, just come out and say you made it up and tell your story. Tell why you made it up. Be real, right? I made it up because I just, I wanted to make an impact in the community. That would be better. That would be a better story. That would be more authentic. That's something people can relate to. People want disclosure so bad and they want transparency so bad they're willing to lie to get us there. That's actually something very relatable, right? Mark wouldn't be the first person to do that. But it would be kind of refreshing to see people come free. Use the world as your therapist. Come out and tell that story. Say that's what happened. Or name your source so that this doesn't happen again. Because if there really is a source, he's just going to keep doing this to more people and they'll fall for it. Because they won't know that that's the same person that told you, Mark, right? So they're going to be like, oh, crap, I got used too, right? I mean, you got to say something, right? Again, I'm torn. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you actually think there is even a source? And not too long ago, I could see him start to backpedal on this story. So I kind of felt like this was coming because he came out with a video and a TikTok that kind of, I tweeted about it like, oh, okay, he's already starting to backpedal a little. And this is what he put out on TikTok. My Washington insider has told me that there is a massive pushback against President Trump's UFO directive to release all the files. There is a sect within the Pentagon called the Collins Elite, and they are led by evangelical Christians who believe that all UFOs and aliens are actually demons. What are your thoughts? I hope this doesn't stop UFO disclosure. The speech is still set for July 8th. The truth is out there. Let's get there. So this was on February 26th. Okay. And it's March 10th. So not that time, but like a week and a half has passed and he was already talking to a source. So you're meaning to tell me that after like a week and a half of him not hearing from his source, he's like, I'm going public with it. Wouldn't you wait a few weeks? Wouldn't you wait a couple weeks? It just doesn't seem like enough time. But a source was just telling him stuff a week and a half ago. Again, that's what makes me think there is no source. And this is the video he attached to this TikTok post.
Okay, breaking news. There is a massive pushback in Washington, in the Pentagon, from allowing President Trump to reveal the truth about UFOs. Do you want to know the reason for this pushback? I'll tell you. It's because there is a secret organization called the Collins Elite within the Pentagon, and they believe that all UFOs are demons. They refer to a passage in the Bible, in Ephesians, where Satan is seen to be Lord and Master of the sky. So therefore, UFOs in the sky are demons. Okay, and this is the reason why there is a pushback against President Trump's recent directive to release the truth about UFOs. And I've been told that he has already prepared a speech for July the 8th. But will this go ahead? I really do hope so. And I really do hope we get the truth about, we are not alone. The truth is out there. Let's get it. Let's get it now.
And again, the whole idea that there are, quote, Christians in the U.S. government who think it's demons, so we shouldn't mess with it. That story's been around forever. Why would that matter now all of a sudden? Right? Again, I'm starting to think he just made this whole thing up. Again, that's just my opinion. That's what I think. I think he just made all of this up. There is no source. And he had an insider, because there was other posts where he put my contacts in Washington. This is in plural. And then it was singular, right? I just think it's all over the place. That's why the vetting, I vetted him. He's been vetted. Well, what could I do to vet him? Like, he's all over the place. That usually is the telltale sign of a lie. He doesn't remember what he said, when he said, because it's been months and it's really hard to keep track of all that when you lie. All right. I mean, if it's already hard enough to keep track of things when it's the truth, when you lie, it's 10 times worse. So that's my opinion. And I think he's going to double down and not reveal any name or source and just go with he's afraid. The whole I'm afraid. So don't come at me. I'm afraid for my life. I'm sick. I'm ill. My health. Anything to keep people from going after him, right? Because they'll feel bad. Now he's going to manipulate your compassion. And that really bothers me. I hope that's not the case. But if that's what he's doing, that's messed up, right? Now manipulating your compassion, and he messed with people's gullibility and openness to this and transparency, desires in this community, right? Like a preacher that just sort of takes advantage. I don't know. I just think it's kind of messed up, right? To be gaslit after this all happens. So look, I'm not trying to be too hard on him, but Mark is the one that said, take me to task. And that's what we're doing, right? Again, he was willing to write those checks. And now that they need to be cashed, he wants to put his head in the sand. Now, I saw that he's going to be doing an interview on That UFO podcast with Andy in the UK, fellow Brit. And maybe they're friends, and I get it. If Mark and I were friends, this might be a different video, but we're not. I've only interviewed him one time. Again, I think he's a nice guy, but like I said in my first video about this, he's being used like a useful idiot. I wish him the best. I hope he does the right thing. I hope he doesn't play the victim. I hope he doesn't keep gaslighting people, and I hope he comes clean either way. Either says the source, or comes clean that there was no source and he lied, and just tell us why. Just be refreshing. Just be honest. People will appreciate your authenticity more than anything. Again, we all make mistakes. It's not the fact that you made a mistake. It's how you're handling it.
And you can hold me to account for this, okay?
All right, betters. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hey, Vetted. Hey, Patrick. I've been kind of thinking about something my dad dropped on me a few years back. So just need to give a little bit of backstory before I go into my question. So, my dad passed away a few years back from a terminal illness, and he disclosed some things a few months before he passed. I think he kind of knew he was coming to the end. I thought I had more time with him, but unfortunately didn't. So he was in the Air Force in the early 1960s and was based up at Elson Air Force Base up in Alaska, supporting like Operation Chrome Dome, which, you know, was like a nuclear-armed B-52 bombers that were flying around these routes up around the Soviet border, up around the, you know, polar ice cap, whatever, you know, just doing their routes during the Cold War. And my dad was conducting radar support when this incident occurred with like an object that was loitering at like 60,000 feet. He said it was there for an hour, and he was doing that radar support stuff. So he was one of the guys in the room that saw this object on radar. It was at 60,000 feet, and it was just standing still for like an hour. Didn't move. It was just monitoring this operation that was going on with the B-52. So keep in mind the B-52s were carrying little nukes, flying their flight path. So post-flight is where things got a little interesting with what my dad told me. So the B-52 pilot had a conversation with my dad at the base. It wasn't like a debrief, but it was kind of like in a break area or some area where this conversation about this object, he was talking to my dad about it. There was like mutual interest, obviously. This was a weird incident, kind of like the Tic Tac, right? The pilots talked a little bit afterwards and whatnot. So he started talking about before he was a B-52 pilot, he was, in his early part of his career, was a B-29 bomber pilot. So this guy was probably, 16, 17, whatever years into his military career, hadn't retired yet or moved on to whatever, bigger, better role. But at the time he was a B-29 pilot, he was based in Roswell in the late 40s. So Roswell was obviously a big, first spot for these B-29s with atomic capability, where they were the first bomber squadron at Roswell during this time. So he started talking about how he was one of the pilots on one of the first two flights, or one of two flights that were flown out of Roswell with the debris in the bodies from the Roswell incident. So obviously they did this just to make sure that if one of the planes were to crash, they would get parts of that debris and bodies to Wright's Pat. Per my dad, they said they stopped in Texas before their final destination at Wrights-Patterson. No shock there. We've all heard that. I guess the piece that I would like tracking down is there can't be that many pilots who started on B-29s, were piloting and based at Roswell in the late 40s, that transitioned in their later part of their career to the B-52s. There are some instances of pilots mentioned online. I don't know if it's like a FOIA request or something else, looking into like how you track this down, but one of my biggest regrets is not asking my dad the pilot's name, and it was so much information that my dad was giving me during this time that he had disclosed this to me, that I was just more shocked than anything. The whole thing was just kind of, unreal. But I just keep thinking about there's got to be a way to track down this pilot and figuring out, there can't be a long list of people who kind of check those boxes where they were based and worked during the 60s with the B-52s during Operation Chrome Dome and had flown up around, Elson Air Force Base in Fairbanks, Alaska, and had been down in Roswell in the late 40s doing the B-29s. It's got to be a short list of guys. So just kind of interested in seeing if maybe there's a way to track down, or if people listening, the vetted community, have the ability to maybe do a little bit of that crazy detective work that people do nowadays to figure this out. Anyways, man, I've been following you since you were about 1,000 followers on YouTube. Huge fan. Keep up the great work. Congrats on it, hitting 100K. Thanks.